If you're thinking of ticking the Labour box on Thursday morning, just remember this: the NHS is not safe in their hands. There is no plan for migration control, and even the Tony Blair government admitted they'd got it wrong on immigration, which has caused a massive strain on public services. Nothing is going to change under Jeremy Corbyn. I'm no racist. All I'm saying is we need to be able to plan for the numbers. And if you don't plan for the numbers, you get a problem. However, our NHS is not in crisis. If you look at our life expectancy, there is nothing wrong with it. We are living to a very long 82.5 years. However, if you look at life expectancy for Scotland or Wales, who have Labour-run or SNP-run health services, you see a very different picture altogether. Scotland gets 16% more funding per capita than England, and yet their life expectancy is significantly lower. Ditto for Wales. So there is something wrong in the way they are governing that accounts for those differences in life expectancy. So be very, very cautious when people say the NHS is safe in Labour's hands. It really, really isn't. John Ashworth went on the telly today to tell us all how wonderful Labour's plans for the NHS are. They're not. They have planning a 4-day week. And how are they going to get their 4-day week? They've said they're going to do it by efficiency saving. So all of these so-called overstressed nurses and doctors and admin staff right now have to find a 20% improvement in their efficiency in order to be working a 4-day week rather than 5. Well, what does that say about the current workload of doctors and nurses? Clearly, Labour knows something that the rest of us don't, because they obviously believe that you can stretch those doctors and nurses to an extra day per week without having to spend any more money on them. It's absolute baloney. Our problems are not being able to plan appropriately for our health service needs. In the early days of migration, and as I said, the Labour Party admitted they'd got it wrong 2003 to 2005, we saw a massive upturn in demand for maternity beds, for delivery units. And whereas before hospitals were planning for 3,500 deliveries per year, they're now having to plan up to 5,500 in the same building. How is this possible? It really, really isn't. And you can't plan for deliveries. Given that so many people also have their babies at home now, say compared with 30 years ago, it is an absolute nightmare trying to plan these numbers if you don't know how many beds you're going to need. A&E, I've said it before, I'll say it again, it's because of the GP contract bought in by Tony Blair in 2001, they all stopped doing home visits. They passed them over to locum agencies. By the way, locum agencies, £500 million per year spent on locums. That's the agency that gets the money, not the doctors themselves. But you'll all remember stories in the news about doctors earning £2,000 per shift. That means £6,000 paid to the agency. These guys were doing all of the GP out of hours work. So the money drops down. What happens? Those patients, a lot of them frightened, a lot of them poorly educated, a lot of them having no confidence in the NHS helplines and the internet information available, they go into A&E, and because we are a decent, nice, free at the point of delivery service, we try and see everybody. We triage them, but that still means they're in the system. And yes, I'm afraid if there is a big car crash, if there's an urgent resuscitation that needs doing, those patients who are basically not that poorly will get shifted to the back of the queue. They will be put in a cubicle. They will be put somewhere to wait. I'm really sorry, but if you're not that sick, just go home. You don't have to stay in hospital. Don't waste hospital resources. It is for the genuinely very sick. Crises, Crises are caused by there being bed blocking. Bed blocking is not bed shortage. Bed blocking is elderly people who have nowhere to leave from hospital. They've no home to go to because they've got nobody to look after them. There isn't a nursing home space for them, so they block an acute medical bed, or they block a bed on a surgical unit because they've broken their hips in the ice in the snow. So that's what a bed blocker is. We can't really do much about bed blockers. They'll either take up a hospital space or they'll take up community nursing space. We just have to find a way of funding it. And actually, many of them aren't health service problems. Is there something wrong with being looked after by your own money when you get older? I really don't think so. If I've got equity in my property, that is going to look after me when I'm older. I do not expect the state to look after me as I grow old, only if I'm sick.